Welcome once again to Breakfast Central. Now, there is an ongoing controversy over the academic records of President Bola Tinubu, which were released by the Chicago State University, CSU, on Monday. Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the 2019 and 2023 general elections, had approached a United States court in the Northern District of Illinois to compel the university to release Tinubu's academic records, which he said would boost his suit challenging the president's election in the February 25th poll.
With the documents released now, deep analysis of the documents pointed out some issues like authenticity of graduation, diploma issue, gender error, birthday mismatch, and gaps in college certificate. Now, here's what the certificates look like. The certificates issued by Chicago State University in 1979, 1999, and 2003. This is what they look like. This is, of course, 1999, and we have what it looks like in 2003. All right, this is 2003.
Oh, this is 1979, I believe.
Oh, this is 1979.
Yes.
All right, and then we have 1999, and then we have 2003. All right, let's now bring in Osita Okechukwu. He's a foundation member of the All Progressives Congress. He will join us now to explain further what exactly is going on. Good morning, Mr. Okechukwu. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, it seems your device is muted. Please, we'd like you to unmute your device as we proceed into the conversation for today. There have been several misunderstandings surrounding this certificate issue, with birthday mismatch, gender confusion of some sort. We want you to give us clarity as to what exactly is going on with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's certificate from Chicago State University.
My premise of argument is that His Excellency Atiku Abubakar has no moral high ground to overheat our polity. That going to Chicago or not going to Chicago was his motive was not based on principles of law. It was based on raw politics. And some of us are concerned about the health of our democracy, that we don't need to overheat our democracy. That even if you go into the details, fine details of principles of law, that His Excellency himself had breached the constitution of his party, the PDP, that expressly stated under Section 7, the principle of rotation convention, that power should rotate between the north to south, south to the north, and back and forth for unity and equity of the country. And that is the same rotation convention upon which the Fourth Republic was embedded. That we were there in 1999 when appeal was made to northern political bigwigs, and in their own good conscience and for their patriotism, they all withdrew from the presidential race and allowed two Southerners to contest. Then it was between Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and Chief Olufalaye. And in 2007, 8 years later, it was between Muhammad Buhari and Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory.
Yep.
Down the line,
Mr. Okechukwu,
it had been fought.
Mr. Okechukwu, apologies. I just want to quickly step in here. The, conversation on, agreements that were made from 1999, on rotation, on it's this person's turn or this other person's turn, may not necessarily hold a lot of, what I, here. And you spoke earlier about the health of our democracy. Isn't the health of our democracy also built on getting the right person in office and ensuring that the people who hold these positions go through the right means, through elections that Nigerians can trust to be free, fair, and credible through people who have, certifications that, don't have any of all this controversy. Isn't that all part of the health of our democracy? I mean, would you ignore whatever red flags that a candidate presents simply because, there's some agreement and you're trying to protect, democracy in some other way, shape, or form?
No, the dichotomy between my argument and yours, and many others who have queried my position, is I'm saying, if the protagonist believes in the rule of law or adheres to the rule of law, then I will agree with you. But if I know that his bogey is just hanging on the principles of the law to overheat the policy, I don't know whether you've gone through His Excellency Atiku Abubakar's petition. His petition, grounds of petition were not anchored on forgery or qualification of President Tinubu. And in law, you cannot build later what you did not build initially. That's why they provided for uploading. So I'm saying that the health of our democracy does not require what is going on. And that the Abi Initio, he was the one, either wittingly or unwittingly, that anointed President Tinubu. Because if he had allowed an all-affairs sudden contest, maybe we won't be in this kind of scenario. We cannot bury it under the ground because we are now under an economic dire situation where the substructure, we're almost in a recession. We do not want the superstructure, the political canvas, more so when sincerely they are aware that what they are pushing for are not embedded on the fine tenets of the law because it didn't make of their anchor of their petition.
Oh, well,
you cannot just go somewhere and fetch and go to the Supreme Court and think they will listen to you.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. I mean, the Supreme Court, and of course the legal process will determine those aspects, whether, it was part of the appeal or not, what the relevance in the future. But your argument, is still saying seemingly that, Atiku Abubakar should not be overheating the polity, by going on these, searches and, going to the to courts in the United States to unravel the foundation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is that what your argument is? And we don't need to go that far.
No. If it basically his pursuit is grounded on principle of law, I will support him. That's not the case.
Yeah, but regardless of what is, apologies, Olive.
That is what I'm saying.
Regardless of what it is grounded upon.
Please find time and go through his petition.
My point is, regardless of what is grounded upon, if it's a different person entirely who approached the courts in the United States to unravel these things, would you maybe, have a different opinion?
No, what I'm saying, don't misunderstand me. I'm saying that our democracy had grown from one election cycle to the other. And that democracy is not a revolution. That the growth we witness in all liberal democracies had been incremental. That so far, let's not throw the baby and the bathwater away.
Okay.
If you're an investor coming to Nigeria, and you are hearing this kind of story and rantings, would you invest in Nigeria?
Mr. Okechukwu, would you say that the people of Nigeria do not deserve to know the background of their president, to know if the certificates that their president tendered is an actual certificate? Before you answer that question, part of the arguments or some of the investigations that have been done have presented that the certificate that was presented by the president is quite different. Let's take a look at what 19 1979 certificate looked like. So on the screen, we have a picture of what 1979 certificates from Chicago State University looked like. We also have here what 1999 certificate looked like. This is it. And then we have 2003 certificate. And this is what the 2003 certificate looked like. Now, here's what President Tinubu allegedly submitted submitted as his, which is, sort of different from what they have pointed out a number of significant differences. Now, I'll go back to my question, and I'm going to ask you a twofold question. I think my first question would be that, Mr. Okechukwu, did President Bola Ahmed, from what you have gathered as a founding member of the All Progressives Congress, who has information that we're probably not privy to, did President Bola Ahmed Tinubu forge the certificate that was presented to INEC? And two, do the people of Nigeria deserve to know the background of their president? Do they have a right to ask these questions?
Thank you very much, my sister. Can I start by letting you know that Tinubu did not come from the air, we know him. And if anybody knows him, that His Excellency Atiku Abubakar knows him more than yourself and myself. When they joined us in politics in the 80s, both of them were in what was called then the Patriotic Front, PF, a political association, under late General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. They know each other. They came from political family. They have all those details. But I'm saying, if Atiku Abubakar had all these details and he slept over the truth and breached his own party's constitution, that could have allowed two Southerners. My sister, imagine if Tinubu was contesting with Obi. That could have enlivened the health of our democracy. It could have brought genuineness. It could have removed North and South.
Mr. Okechukwu, I think that you're sort of...
Cleavage. We know Tinubu. Tinubu is not new to us.
All right.
I don't want to canvass about it.
All right, Mr. Okechukwu, I don't think you've quite answered my question yet. What I'm asking you is, do the people of Nigeria deserve to know what the truth is? And did the president forge his certificate? This is a conversation that borders on the integrity, the quality of the character of the person we put in office, because we put him there in office, right? He's there to serve the people of Nigeria. So the question I'm asking is, did President Bola Ahmed Tinubu forge the certificate, the Chicago State University certificate that he presented? Do the people of Nigeria deserve to know what the truth is? I hear you on the conversation on arguments and agreements prior to the elections, and that's not what we're looking at. What we want to look at right now is the certificate. Was there a forgery? And do the people of Nigeria deserve to know the truth?
The truth of the matter is, luckily for us, we have the law courts that will determine that in the next few weeks or months. But before then, the sincerity of the matter is that we are not going to heaven to change events. We know Tinubu, we know Atiku. They are not strange to us. All these stories have been canvassed. There is nothing new on the table. And unluckily for His Excellency Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, why was this not made one of the grounds of their petition? If you didn't do it a ground of your petition, and if you are coming to equity with your dirty hands, for God's sake, I have my great respect for Atiku Abubakar. He was very close to two of my big uncles, Dube Moya, who used to be Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the late Right Honorable Chubo Kadibo, one of my political mentors. I know him, he knows me very well. I don't have anything against him. I'm talking of the health of our democracy. I'm not talking of the nitty-gritties of whether this certificate is forged or not forged.
All right, Mr. Okechukwu, it would seem that...
Nothing new about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. Nothing new.
All right, Mr. Okechukwu, it would seem that...
We know him.
It would seem that you obviously do not want to directly tackle the question that we're asking. So I'm going to ask a different question. You've said it over and over again, that we know, you know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know Atiku. From what you know over the years, would you say that you can vouch for the integrity of the president?
What I will tell you, in democracy, throughout the growth of liberal democracy, had trumped up. The Nigerian people voted for him. He had more majority of the votes, more than Atiku. And Atiku knows why. If you combine Obi's votes, the 6 plus 6 is 12. You could have been more than Tinubu's 8. So I'm saying, you cannot on one bat mangle the primaries of your political party because of your weight, breach the zoning convention, breach the constitution of your party, and they are now coming to tell us stories you know about 30 years ago. The story about Tinubu is a common knowledge. So let's not.
But what do you mean? What do you mean by common knowledge? Because these things have been questioned for decades now. Gani Fawehinmi did question these things. If you remember,
about 21 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. The Newswatch magazine, I still have that write up here that is questioning the certificates and the foundations of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it's not these aren't news stories either. And for a long time, these things have been questioned. It is only now that we're finally getting, someone who approaches a court in the United States in Illinois that is able to provide proper details from Chicago State University and also from the Southwest College that has said that the person who applied there, apparently was a female, not male, but maybe there's an argument that it was a typographical error. There's many other things that need to be questioned. And when you say we know this person, do these details matter to you? Okay, so to you as a Nigerian, does it matter whether the person that is your governor or your president has the credibility to, handle that position? Is it important to you at all that the person doesn't come with forged certificates? The person comes, and you know exactly what their background is. Do these things matter to you as an individual?
For God's sake, it matters very well to me.
Okay.
I'm concerned about that. I need a purity system. But I also, far back in 1963, there was a plaque in my headmaster's office. I one day asked the headmaster, what is the meaning of this plaque? He said, Osita, if you can memorize it, do so. It's called Serenity Plaque, prayers. It's prayers written by a theologian, Leonard Nebo. He said, the serenity to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for the society to move forward.
Yeah, but how does the society move forward? And I would always jump in.
With all this knowledge, did you ask yourself why this issue was not in their petition?
But it is in their petition. I don't agree with the
go through this hog.
No, first of all, I don't agree, Mr. Okechukwu. I don't agree that it's not in their petition. I think that is not very factual. And then second, when you say for the society to move forward, how does the society move forward if the foundation, that is standing on is shaky? And I'm talking about, this lack of clarity as to where exactly President Tinubu went to school. For a long time, people even joke and say he doesn't have classmates. There's nobody that has come out to say, okay, we all were, in this so-and-so schools, old boys, high school or something. And we were all his classmates. There's nothing like that. Chicago State University, from the deposition now, is basically saying that this certificate is forged. They didn't, give that certificate to President Tinubu. So what foundation and what, society are we talking about here when we don't even understand the foundations, of the people that are meant to be leading us? I mean,
I agree with your premise.
Mr. Okechukwu, I believe
it seems you do not want to look at my own optics.
I do. I'm just saying that it is faulty because you're talking about.
Is this democracy has a way? Did you believe that American democracy of over 200 years will produce a Trump? And in the 4 years, they voted him out. So if you feel bad about Tinubu, please get geared towards the next 4 years to vote him out and leave the health of this democracy to exist. That's what I'm saying.
No, but we cannot have a healthy democracy if we do not allow the Constitution, if we do not allow INEC, and if we do not allow the courts to do the things that they've been set out to do. Because what you are advising now is that these things be ignored so that President Tinubu will have his 4 years and our democracy will be healthy. That's what you're advising.
No, what I'm telling you is that with this knowledge background, which the PDP has, which we have, don't forget that in our own presidential primaries, 23 aspirants contested with His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, with all the pluses and minuses, he defeated them. That's democracy. I went into the main election, and His Excellency Atiku Abubakar prepared ground for his victory. If you want to dismiss it, and you see that democracy must produce purity in one day, as a person who has been in this career for the past 40-something years, I will let you know that that's not the way democracy works.
Okay.
Now, for today, the health of our democracy should be guided. We have wins of anti-democrats.
Do you think that, Mr. Okechukwu,
we don't need to give room for that?
Do you think that?
I'm worried.
Can I quickly ask?
I'm worried more than you.
Can I ask you?
I'm worried more than you.
Mr. Okechukwu, can I ask you if you think that the health of our democracy can be protected by perjury? We do not know for sure what the situation is. We do not know if there was a forged certificate, which is why we're hoping that you, as a founding member of the APC, can give us further details. But it doesn't seem like you have further details to give us. And you have said that we should wait for the courts, which is great. We will wait for the court. But in the event that the court finds out that this certificate was forged, so it's not just forgery we're looking at, there would also be perjury, which will be lying under oath, because all the documents that were presented, to the officials, to INEC, were presented under the premise or the assumption that these were the correct documents, right? And he took an oath, swore an oath, that these were the correct documents. But then, if we find out differently, then that would be perjury. So do you think that the health of our democracy can be protected with half-truths or lies or by perjury, if that turns out to be the case?
I agree with you on the rule of law and the judgment that will emanate from the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court. Whatever decision that comes out there, we will obey it. That's what it takes to be a Democrat. I'm not contesting that, but I'm saying that overheating the polity is not healthy. It's not healthy. That they are aware that the main kernels or grounds of their petition did not contain this. They are holding it as a body. If they have insisted on other issues that concerns, I know there were flaws in the 2023 presidential elections. Nobody can doubt that. But I'm saying that at every election cycle, we have advanced. Let nobody dispense of that, and let nobody throw the baby away with the bathwater. That's my concern.
Yeah, but I mean, the baby in this case, seems to have, forged, or is alleged to have forged a certificate. The baby in this case, seems to have a lot of questions that have been left unanswered for decades now, concerning his background, and his education. And when you talk about, democracy, is democracy not meant? Isn't it democracy that has given people the ability to question these things freely? Because if we were in a military rule, maybe these questions will not be asked. A lot of people would not have the guts to ask these questions. But the democracy that you're asking that we protect and we do not trample, isn't that what gives Nigerians the ability and the rights and the freedom to raise these questions and to ensure that there is purity to some extent in the process that helps us choose our leaders? Isn't that the democracy that you're talking about?
I agree with you, but I'm saying that the messenger do not believe in the rule of law himself.
Okay, but you yourself, Mr. Okechukwu, yourself.
Never by half.
Okay, sorry, I apologize. Mr. Okechukwu, as an individual yourself, let's leave Atiku Abubakar, out of this. If you've been told for the last 20 years by the likes of Ganifa Oemi and other people that the President Tinubu, even when he was governor, had questionable credentials. Until date, like I said, nobody has really been able to say, okay, he was our classmate in this school or in that school. If you have been told as a Nigerian, shouldn't you yourself question or, approach the courts to find out if this person really deserves to be president?
What I'm saying, that I agree with their own optics. If you know all those facts, and you were unable to stop him, please don't pull down the house. That's all I'm canvassing. Don't pull down the house. We'll still need Nigeria for anybody to be president.
Okay,
we'll
my
still
final...
need our democracy for anybody to go for elections. That's my canvas.
My final question, Mr. Okechukwu. My final question, Mr. Okechukwu, because you have said that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has no moral background or standing to be able to... High ground, sorry. No moral high ground to be able to question the credibility of the president. Let's imagine, in the event that he had the moral high ground, do you think that that's an important conversation for us to have now?
Thank you, my sister. If he had, and he's going to petition, that could have made his number 1 or 2 or 3. But that wasn't the case. Do we pay for his mistakes? Do we pay for his mangling of his political party? Would the society pay for that?
Oh, well.
Please go through his petition. Go through his petition.
There's also the argument, that it is a failure, to raise these questions over time, over the last, couple of years, that has led to a continued depreciation in the quality of leadership that Nigeria has had. You remember, we had this same situation, almost the same thing in, when President Buhari got into office, where, WAEC then went to Osarogie to give him, a document as his WAEC certificate, and people were snapping pictures. Nigeria's president was taking pictures with WAEC officials and other politicians to celebrate WAEC certificate, not his master's, not his PhD, WAEC. They took pictures with it and they threw parties. We continued on that path, and that's where what has led to where we are today. So there's the argument that if notable Nigerians, just like yourself, had set a standard and said to ourselves as a people that we would continue to raise the standard and raise the bar for who holds the position of the highest seat in the land, we probably wouldn't have gotten here now. But that wasn't done. And from what you're saying, it seems like we're continuing to, reduce the standards with which people get into office simply because we don't want to overheat the polity. But democracy has been created so that polity can be overheated, and there's the courts and every other institution of government to protect the democracy in situations like that. Except I'm totally wrong. But these are the way that...
Can I repeat?
Yeah, go ahead.
The fact that there was this issue of certificate issue in 2023 does not mean that in subsequent presidential elections, that same issue will reoccur.
I mean,
that's not the history of democracy.
Well, in the next 4 years...
I told you, did you remember in 2007 presidential election, when Prophet Wu did not even allow the collation to be completed and walked away from where we were collating and announced results? That's not the case today. We have a case today where governors, sitting governors, lost their senatorial bid in their states. Please, let's not lump the good, the bad, and the ugly together. Let's not throw away the baby and the bathwater. That is my canvas. Okay. The democracy is evolutionary. That will get there. 200 and something years. America produced Trump, showing what democracy does. Don't forget that Hitler was elected. Hitler did not overthrow the German government. But you get at each stage, pull up, pull up, pull up, and you get to the best. The Almighty God is still there to protect our dear country. Let's not put down the house. That's my only appeal.
The final words of Mr. Osita Okechukwu on the show, you had said this morning, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, that if we're not pleased by if Nigerians are not pleased with the background of the president, they should wait another 4 years and vote him out. Let's see if Nigerians would, toe that line and what exactly the courts have to say about this. But thank you very much for your time with us on the show this morning.
I appreciate it.
All right. Just to quickly mention, you were going to move into sports next, but to quickly mention that, a lot of Nigerians want that baby and bathwater gone. The baby itself, the baby in particular, needs to be thrown into the evil forest because, that has led to, a complete and continued depreciation in the quality of leadership that we've had for a long time. And I would always refer to the steps that were taken in 2014, 2015, the standards that were set in 2014, 2015, when people defended the indefensible. People defended, judges' houses being broken into. People defended WAEC certificates being presented, to the president. People defended statements like, even if it is NEPA certificate, we will vote for him. That's what set the tone. And we've continued on that path and we'll continue to reduce the quality of leadership that we find. And we will continue to. So that baby needs to go.
Because we're setting a precedence. This certificate debacle will set a precedence in the coming years.
Yes, it will.
So whatever happens, at the end of the day, nobody is saying, I don't think the argument is as to whether or not he must have graduated, have gotten a certain type of
class.
Yes. Yeah. I think the argument is, you said you went here. Did you go here? Did you attend this university like you said you went? And it's been several controversies from the time he's been running. Controversies surrounding the actual age, his age, controversies surrounding his, even the secondary school he went to, and now to the university.
Government College Lagos, which he claims to have graduated in 1970, but,
was established in 1974. So there are many questions that needs to be answered, and I think that one way to do this would be for the president to answer. I mean, I must applaud that he's been addressing a number of issues. He's been addressing the Nigerian people. We want him to address the Nigerian people, tell us what the situation is. We want the actual truth because Nigerians deserve to know the truth. It is said that the office of the citizen is the highest office in the land, and the citizens put the presidency there. The presidency is answerable to the people, and these are questions that should not go unanswered.
The leadership recruitment process in Nigeria, has its flaws.
Oh yes, it does.
And it has these flaws because there's the argument that the people who get into leadership in Nigeria are not aliens; they're fellow Nigerians. But unfortunately, the systems and the infrastructure and the recruitment process here continues to only, support the worst in society to get into those positions. Because it is, there's bribery, there's thuggery, there's tribalism, there's some of all these things that are, put into motion to allow the worst in society to get into leadership. And then the ones who actually have quality would not be able to get into those positions. And that's why you say, or when they say that, these leaders are also fellow Nigerians, they represent what the average Nigerian is like. It is mostly because that structure and that process has too many flaws and lets these ones in. But Nigerians need to. And that's why I'm of the argument that the baby, the bathwater, and the maid, everybody should be thrown away. Nigerians need to continue to demand improved quality in the persons that get into those positions.
And it's not just presidency. We're talking about every cadre of leadership. Yes. It's not just with the presidency, because we always think, it's about the president. But there are people who make your laws. There are people who would have sittings and get remuneration for making laws. So I think it cuts across every cadre of leadership. Absolutely. Anyway, let's not throw away breakfast show. We'll just go on a very quick break. Osarogie has been saying, throw away the baby and battle and throw away.